What does it mean to see something no one else can see, and then drag reality toward that vision until it surrenders? Steve Jobs did not invent the personal computer. He did not write code. He did not solder circuit boards or engineer displays. What Jobs did was rarer and more dangerous. He held an image of the future so clearly in his mind that the present became intolerable, and then he spent 30 years refusing compromise until the world looked like the picture in his head. The question is not what he built. The question is how a human being sustains that level of certainty without breaking, and what gets broken along the way. Jobs was born in 1955 to parents who gave him up for adoption, raised in suburban California by a machinist father who taught him that the back of a fence mattered as much as the front. That principle, invisible craftsmanship, beauty no one would see, became the spine of everything Apple would make. Now, he dropped out of Reed College after one semester, but stayed on campus auditing classes that interested him: calligraphy, philosophy, Eastern spirituality. He spent 7 months walking through Indian villages barefoot, searching for enlightenment, and came back not with answers, but with a framework. Life is short, death is certain, and the only rational response is to make something that outlasts you. Most 20-year-olds say this and then get office jobs. Jobs meant it in his bones. In 1976, he co-founded Apple Computer with Steve Wozniak in a garage. Wozniak was the technical genius. Jobs was the one who looked at a circuit board and said it needed to be beautiful, needed to feel inevitable, needed to communicate that the future had arrived and you were holding it. The Apple II succeeded not because it was the most powerful machine, but because it looked like it belonged in a home. That instinct, that technology should not announce itself as technology, should instead feel like an extension of human desire, was the seed of everything. When Xerox PARC showed Jobs their graphical user interface and mouse in 1979, he did not see a research project. He saw the future of human-computer interaction, and he took it, not stole, took. Because in his mind, Xerox had already forfeited it by not understanding what they had. The Macintosh launched in 1984 with a Super Bowl ad that promised liberation, revolution, a computer for the rest of us. It sold well, but not well enough. Jobs was a tyrant in development meetings, screaming at engineers, rejecting designs 50 times until they matched the image in his head. He demanded that the internal circuit board look elegant, even though no customer would ever see it. He obsessed over the beige of the plastic casing. This was not perfectionism for its own sake. This was metaphysical conviction. If the object was not perfect all the way down, it was a lie, and lies do not change the world. The board of directors saw a young man who could not delegate, could not compromise, could not manage. In 1985, they fired him from the company he founded. Most men would have disappeared. Jobs did the opposite. He started Next Computer, a company that built elegant machines no one could afford. He bought a struggling animation studio called Pixar from George Lucas for $5 million. Both seemed like vanity projects. Both seemed doomed. What no one understood was that Jobs was not trying to succeed in the conventional sense. He was continuing his education in taste. Next failed commercially, but refined his vision of integrated hardware and software, of design as a moral discipline. Pixar, under John Lasseter's creative direction, made Toy Story in 1995. The first fully computer animated feature film, a work of art that proved technology and soul were not opposites. Jobs became a billionaire overnight when Pixar went public. But more importantly, he had demonstrated that his instincts could build not just products, but entire new art forms. Apple, meanwhile, was dying. By 1997, the company had lost its identity, was making beige boxes indistinguishable from Dells, and Compaqs was weeks from bankruptcy. The board did the unthinkable. They brought Jobs back. He returned not as a hired CEO, but as the exiled king reclaiming his throne. Within months, he killed 70% of Apple's product line, cut deals with Microsoft, and refocused the company on 4 products: desktop and portable, consumer and professional. The Think Different campaign, launched in 1997, narrated by Jobs himself in the version that never aired, celebrating the misfits and rebels who see the world differently. It was not advertising, it was a manifesto. It was Jobs telling the world who he was and what he intended to do. The iMac arrived in 1998, a translucent teal computer with no floppy drive. It looked like it came from the future. Critics said consumers needed floppy drives. Jobs said consumers did not know what they needed until you showed them. He was right. The iMac saved Apple, but Jobs was not interested in saving the company. He was interested in proving a metaphysical point. That design is not decoration. That simplicity is harder than complexity. That if you make the right thing, it does not need to be explained. The iPod in 2001, the iPhone in 2007, the iPad in 2010, each one dismissed as unnecessary, each one redefining its category completely. Jobs did not ask what the market wanted. He decided what the market would want and then bent metal and silicon into that shape. What enabled this? Not technical genius. Jobs could not code. Not business acumen. He was fired from his own company. What Jobs had was ontological stubbornness. He saw the world not as it was, but as it should be, and he possessed the will to drag everyone around him toward that vision. He screamed at designers. He told engineers their work was shit. He fired people in elevators. He parked in handicapped spaces. He denied paternity of his first daughter for years. The people who worked for him often hated him, and also said they did the best work of their lives under his cruelty, because Jobs demanded that they become the kind of people who could build the future he saw. He was not a manager. He was a prophet who required disciples. He died in 2011 at 56. Pancreatic cancer. He delayed conventional treatment for 9 months, pursuing alternative therapies, a decision that likely killed him. Even in the face of death, Jobs trusted his intuition over expertise. His last words, according to his sister, were, "Oh, wow. Oh, wow. Oh, wow." No one knows what he saw. What remains is a company worth over $2 trillion and a design language that defines the 21st century. Every smartphone is a descendant of the iPhone. Every sleek laptop owes something to the MacBook. The world looks like the inside of Steve Jobs' mind now. The cost of that kind of vision is loneliness. To see what others cannot see is to live in a private world, one with a population of one. Jobs built temples to his interior image, and millions of people worshiped there without knowing whose dream they are living inside. Was he a genius or a monster? The question assumes the two are separate.